She was last seen in her home over in the town of Pittsfield. That is the last day that Victoria Prokopovitz was seen alive.
Where could she be?
Volunteers started showing up here at 9 o'clock this morning.
We've got K9 units out, the horses out, boots on the ground.
There were so many different scenarios that might have happened. Did she take off? Did she just leave? Did she commit suicide?
We contacted Interpol, we contacted TSA. She wasn't coming up anywhere.
The individuals who are last seen with a victim would be number one on the list.
Down the steps. Honey!
There had been a history of mental health and suicide attempts.
And that's when she made the statement, next time nobody's gonna find her.
Yeah, she was very angry.
If you guys think I did something, you're gonna arrest me and haul me in. Because I didn't.
I do believe that she's in those sludge ponds. Something would go into it and it would actually disintegrate.
You know, we didn't have a body. How do you prove something without a body?
The answers would bring my mom back. But they would allow us to grieve and to heal.
Okay, your wife is in a bar. You said she's unresponsive.
This is what he's gonna tell you.
How to get out of that situation.
And I grabbed the gun.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir.
The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything? We, the jury, to find the defendant.
Where is Victoria? And why can't we find her? What happened to her?
It began as a missing persons case and a search for 63-year-old Victoria Prokopovitz.
She was characterized as a homebody. She really stayed at home. She hadn't been working.
A mother, a grandmother, a very caring person, certainly an individual who had issues.
She was reported by her husband to have wandered off in the middle of a moonlit night from her home in Brown County, Wisconsin.
It's a very rural area, a lot of farms around there. The area the Prokopovitzes lived in, it was an old farmstead. I don't believe it was an active farm. Not exactly a place where you'd just go out and take walks along a busy road.
Volunteers started showing up here at 9 o'clock this morning.
We've got K9 units out, the horses out, boots on the ground, boats with sonar and cameras, so we've got it all covered.
She has a history of depression, but her family has no idea why she just vanished.
Her 3 children, Marcia, Stacy, and Wes, were there around the clock.
We're hoping we get some sort of answer today. Prepared for maybe not a good answer, but it would be an answer.
Marcia was heartbroken. Your mom goes missing, you never get to say goodbye.
Brown County Homicide Detective Roman Ehrenstein took charge of the case, joined later by Jay Yerkes, a special agent with the Wisconsin Department of Justice.
They had exhausted their immediate efforts to be able to locate this individual within the immediate area.
We contacted Interpol, we contacted TSA, the United States Marshal Service. She wasn't coming up anywhere.
She had lack of transportation, access to money. I began to start having some concerns that this is indeed an adult female that was endangered.
We started to do forensic interviews.
Victoria's husband of 24 years, Jim, was the last person known to have seen Victoria alive, and he was repeatedly questioned over the years about what happened that night.
To your best recollection, where in the house was the last time you physically saw her?
Right here in the kitchen when I walked into the bedroom.
And that was at 8:39.
About 8:30, 9 o'clock.
He went to bed the night before, and when he woke up, he found her to be missing. He indicated that he searched for his wife.
Do exactly what you did.
And I walked over here, I said, honey!
Okay.
She didn't answer.
Okay, then go
Then I went here, went down in the basement.
Go ahead.
Thought she was down here. Turn the light on. Down the steps. Honey! I walked over here, I think it was. I don't remember. It was here first. Look. I walked over here, opened this door. It wasn't open. I looked in here. She was in here. Okay. Did something. Nothing here. Okay, then what happened?
This is such a crucial time. This is a time in the middle of the night when you're up before you need to be up to go to work. You're the only one home. You're indicating you're looking for your wife. This is such a critical piece of timeline for you. I want to understand that. I want to understand everything that I can.
And then, Jim, do you remember if she's not answering to your yells? Do you remember why it is that you felt the importance to look in every spot?
Because she tried to kill herself down here in the basement once. That's why.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Yep. So you were looking.
I found her in that room.
Okay. So you were looking to see if she was in distress.
Yes, I was.
Okay. Okay. That's why we're asking.
That's
why
what I was looking for. I thought if she tried something, maybe I could find her in time.
So there had been a history of mental health and suicide attempts. As the investigation progressed into the months and years moving forward, we did start looking into that. Interestingly enough, those incidents were dated. They were many, many years old.
But after one of the suicide attempts, detectives did learn of an ominous statement from Victoria to one of her daughters.
The statement that she'd made is next time I do this, nobody will ever find me.
Over the course of years of interviews, Jim Prokopovitz mentioned that repeatedly to the detectives.
My gut feeling says she found some place to do it, and we're not going to find her. That's my gut feeling.
He was definitely pushing that as a narrative. He was pushing that with law enforcement. He was pushing that with searchers and strangers, and really anybody that would listen.
The only reason I'm assuming she went and did is she attempted 3 times with me. He said if she was going to do it again, she was going to do it, but nobody would find her.
Jim, it's hard to hide your own body.
He exhibited a level of confidence that she wouldn't be found. He inquired about taking her off his insurance.
So we knew from the get-go that something wasn't right with respect to Jim's version of what had happened.
And as the search for Victoria went cold after several years and detectives continued to press Prokopovitz, he grew increasingly frustrated with the detectives' push for details.
No. Okay. But it was 3.5 years ago. You're asking me where I sat at a kitchen table? My God, man. And you're asking me what kind of... Do you pay attention to what your wife wears every time she gets dressed? If you do, you're a good man, but...
No, the simple answer to that, Jim, is I don't. However...
Yeah, I know you don't. But say, God forbid, something would happen to your wife. Would you be able to tell everybody what she had on? Or what she wore? If you guys think I did something, arrest me and haul me in. Because I didn't.
At the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember you.
As the years went by since Victoria Prokopovitz disappeared, the day on which she went missing was always remembered.
For she is a part of us, as we remember her. Amen.
Her daughter, Marcia, never let up on the search.
She just wanted to know what happened to her mom, and she was doing everything she could. I mean, she created a missing persons organization for families also going through the same thing she was going through. She got the month of April declared Missing Persons Awareness Month, a special day proclaimed for her mom.
Marcia also started a foundation for missing people, and she's helped people across the country with respect to that.
But in the search for her own mother, there was no progress.
A number of miles further west.
And for detectives Roman Ehrenstein and Jay Yergis, the case became what is known as a no-body homicide.
Unlike a scenario where you have a body in a crime scene and it's clear that the death had occurred at the hands of another, in this particular case, not having the body, we don't have that information.
Victoria's husband Jim remained under suspicion, But her adult son, Wes, who had lived with his mom and Jim, was also closely looked at.
I've learned in my career that everybody's a suspect until they're not. And significantly, the individuals who are last seen with a victim would be number one on the list.
Wes had gone out that night and returned home around 4 a.m. after his mother had vanished.
So we looked very long and hard at Wes until we were able to conclusively find through forensics on his telephone, statements from other eyewitnesses, that alibied the possibility out that he was involved in any way in her disappearance.
Frustrated by the lack of progress, Victoria's children brought in a private detective and former police officer, Larry Warwick, hoping he could finally get some answers.
They suspected possibly Jim, their stepfather, had something to do with it, but they didn't know. And that's basically why they wanted me to assist them, to help, to find out.
And right away, Warwick got Jim Prokopovitz to sit down with him at the kitchen table.
I want you to pretend that I don't know anything about this, okay? You know what I mean?
All right.
Okay. So, what do you think happened?
I don't know. I do know she told Stacy, next time I do it, nobody's going to find me.
He had mentioned to the family, either to the family or the police, that he had an argument with Vicky on the way home from the psychiatrist's office that day, the day that she went missing. And I asked him...
Do you remember having an argument with her in the truck on the way home?
No.
Just like that, 3 times. We refer to that as the rule of 3. When someone denies something vehemently 3 times, it's almost 100% indication of deception. So to me, that argument was probably a catalyst for what occurred later on, which the argument probably escalated, which resulted in Victoria's death.
So, you know the police are looking at you.
Oh, I know they are.
Yeah.
I know they are.
Yeah. Did you do anything to Vicky?
No, I didn't. I did not do nothing to that woman, son of a bitch. I loved her.
Okay.
Now, who says that woman about their wife? It really shows some distance and some anger toward her. And then he began to sob. He began to cry.
I don't mean to upset you. But I got to ask the question.
I know. I know they think I did something to her. The only thing I could have done different was lock her up in a rubber room to keep her from hurting herself.
But for the detectives, the most significant questions were about a new girlfriend, Kathy Friday, who he began to see within weeks of Victoria's disappearance.
We have to understand, how did this relationship begin? When did it begin?
It all started at an Indian casino, according to Prokopovitz. He told the detectives he had run into Kathy Friday just by chance after not being in contact for years.
Walked into the casino. I was walking around looking for a machine to play, and I thought I recognized her. And I walked up and I said, "You look familiar." And then at first she didn't recognize me, and then she did. When I
been a long time, like 20 years or what?
Almost 30 years.
30 years, yeah, of course.
There was nothing that was pre-planned, nothing that was set up. He just happened to be there, and he noticed this woman that he hadn't seen in 30 years and recognized her and approached her.
But in his interview with the private detective, Prokopovitz told a much different story.
Okay. You have a relationship with her now?
Yes, I do.
So after you married Vicky, you never had an intimate relationship with her?
No. I call her once every 2 years, 3 years.
Once every 2, every 3 years. A small but telling difference.
So once again, he's mixing up his lies. He's forgetting who he told what to.
It would be a turning point in the case. And now Detectives Ehrenstein and Jurgis began to dig into Prokopovitz's relationship with Kathy Friday and why he was lying about it.
Could this potentially be a motivation or a reason of why Victoria is no longer with us?
With the results of the private detective's interview in hand and other new leads, the detectives were slowly but surely turning up the heat on James Prokopovitz.
Just one thing that I noticed is that you seem to be upset by our presence.
No, I'm not upset. It's just...
Were you nervous about us coming?
No, I wasn't nervous.
Okay.
I wasn't nervous. I got nothing to hide.
Jim felt that it would be enough to say he went to bed, my wife was there, I woke up, my wife was no longer there, and that there wouldn't be any more scrutiny to that.
When we are here to try to help bring answers to you about the woman that you say you love.
I did and I do.
I believe that. We want to give you those answers.
So they had him go through her closets to see if any clothing was missing.
Clothes? Yep, there's clothes. Now you tell me how I'm supposed to remember.
No, I don't know. I don't.
Look.
They had him show where he searched on the property.
Walked around in here a little bit, didn't see her hollering all the time. That's when I jumped in the truck.
And then they went with him in his truck as he retraced the route he said he took searching for Victoria.
I'm hoping I find her at the shells. I drove by here, didn't go in.
Making a point that he drove through this Shell gas station.
Window, see if anybody was there. Didn't see anybody. There was no cars here, no nothing here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Went around.
Well, why is this important? Why am I going into so much detail on that? Well, back in 2013, I had actually collected video at that particular gas station. And at the end of the day, Jim's truck never makes it past that gas station like he said it did.
And when we discovered that that was not at all what happened, that wasn't accurate, that was a big lie.
3.5 years after Victoria Prokopovitz disappeared, police served a search warrant on the home, infuriating Jim.
Me too. Thanks, Joe.
I don't want to talk to anybody anymore. I almost wish I was dead right now. I'm getting so tired of this that I'm 71. I hope the hell I have a damn heart attack and die.
You feel like hurting yourself, Tim?
Huh? No, I don't feel like hurting myself. I wish I'd go to bed one night and never wake up. That's what I wish right now. I'm tired of worrying. I wish you guys would find her. Somewhere, somehow, I wish you'd find her.
But the detectives were not deterred by their suspect's outburst. Doubling down on the efforts to prove the story about the casino meeting between Prokopovitz and his new girlfriend Kathy was also a lie.
And then we went out and drove crisscross the state, and we interviewed dozens of individuals.
We began to poke holes into that story, and we just didn't feel that likely happened.
It turns out that the meeting was pre-planned. It wasn't at the casino, but a nearby truck stop. It happened within weeks of Victoria's disappearance.
So prosecutors convened what is called in Wisconsin an evidentiary hearing, held in secret, much like a grand jury.
And we wanted to put them on record to try to get at the truth of what that chance encounter really was.
Both Jim and Kathy and many other people took the stand over a number of weeks during these evidentiary hearings, and it became clear that both Jim and Kathy were not telling the truth, and both were taken into custody.
Jim? Yeah. Can I come in? Yeah.
It was some 6 years after his wife had disappeared, and now that he and his lover Kathy faced charges of perjury, detectives hoped Prokopovitz might finally crack.
Essentially been lying to Roman and I for a long time. Today he lied on the stand to the judge, the court, okay? Is that accurate, Jim?
Yeah. Well, I lied about how we met. And,
Did you know that lying to us was wrong and illegal?
Yeah, in a way. I mean,
didn't feel good.
No, but...
So what about the lie that he searched for his wife that night, driving past the Shell gas station?
That didn't happen, Jim. know what I'm saying?
What didn't happen?
You weren't at that station.
I swear I went by the station and didn't see anybody or anything.
Well, you can see a certain amount of road with the cameras, though.
You swear to God I was by there. By that station.
It didn't happen, Joe. That didn't happen. Because video doesn't lie, Jim. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
His demeanor and concern was solely focused on Kathy. He said he would do and say anything he needed to just to absolve her of any responsibility.
You need to tell us what the heck happened so that we can clear her and get her.
Honest to God, Jay, she had nothing to do with it.
Vicky's dead.
Yes.
She's not here.
She's not here. I don't know if she's dead. I don't.
She doesn't go poof.
I know
You were the last one
to see her.
You were the last one with her.
No.
You were the last one to hear her.
I don't know. If I knew, I'd tell you right now.
Oh.
I'd tell you right now because I don't want Kathy in trouble.
You don't want to be caught. You didn't want to be caught today on the stand.
And you lied.
All right. You don't want to be caught now.
Okay, I'll admit, I killed her. There, I killed her. Kathy had nothing to do with it.
My impression was that he wanted to see how that would sound out loud. That was my impression. He wanted to see maybe what my reaction would be after all these years if he was to verbalize the fact that he killed his wife. And that's what he did, but he recanted thereafter.
I don't know where she is. I
Tell
don't
me
know.
how you killed her. No,
I don't know how I killed her.
Tell me how you killed her.
I didn't. So I can't tell you.
Did you
I can't tell you. I don't know.
But it was more than enough to charge him with perjury, obstruction of justice, and murder.
And we're about to get into the opening statements. Again, this jury is 9 women, 6 men. Let's go live.
It had been almost 18 months since James Prokopovitz had been arrested, and all that time in custody awaiting trial had affected his appearance.
It was very, very different person that we were seeing when he appeared in court. He would walk in pretty slowly, sometimes kind of shuffling into court. He looked older, frail.
And there had been another tragedy in Prokopovitz's life, the suicide of his girlfriend, Kathy Friday, who had been convicted of perjury in the case and was awaiting sentencing.
And there was going to be a recommendation for some incarceration time. And that was not something that she later had left a note indicating that was not something she was willing to live with.
There was no evidence Kathy Friday had knowledge of what happened to Victoria Prokopovitz, but her relationship with Jim was still going to be an important part of the prosecution's case.
She was his motive for getting rid of Victoria, that he loved her and had a very intense relationship with her.
Prosecutor Caleb Saunders handled the opening.
2,854 days. That is the last day that Victoria Prokopovitz was seen alive.
Recounting for the jury 8 years of fruitless searches by law enforcement, friends, and family to find Victoria.
You'll hear that the defendant did not assist in those searches. You'll hear he, in some occasions, sat in his recliner and was drinking beer. Searchers are reporting overhearing comments like this. You will never find her. She's not there. You're wasting your time searching that area.
And Saunders told the jury the prosecution planned to play long sections of the taped law enforcement interviews of Prokopovitz, full of half-truths and lies about how he searched for his wife.
I drove by here.
How and when he began his relationship with Kathy Friday.
Walked into the casino, I was walking around looking.
And how he quickly recanted his own confession.
Okay, I'll admit, I killed her. There.
The truth in this case is in the lies. The truth, if you carefully consider the evidence in this case, State believes you'll find the truth in this case is that the defendant killed Vicky, and that he's guilty of all 4 charged offenses. Thank you.
But the prosecution team knew it faced two very difficult hurdles in its case against Prokopovitz.
We didn't have a body, and that's still a challenge for some people to get around. How do you prove something without a body? And I think that was always something that was in the back of the jury's head.
And prosecutors also had to deal with Victoria's history of mental illness.
We had a victim who had a prior history of attempting to take her life. So what also made it unique that I've never heard of another case is that she would have made a statement, the next time I do this, you're not going to find me.
And that became a central theme for defense lawyer John D'Angelo.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, next time, no one will find me. That was a statement that Victoria Prokopovitz stated to her family the second time she tried to commit suicide. I'm going to state it again. Next time, no one will find me.
And D'Angelo tried to use his client's age and appearance to his advantage.
The state wants you to believe that my client, at 68 years old, perfectly executed his wife's murder to the point that nobody can find her. You're not going to hear how it happened. You're not going to know when it happened. You're not going to have proof of a body. A 68-year-old man got rid of his wife, a grown woman, so perfectly that the house wasn't disturbed. I leave you with this. Next time, no one will find me. Victoria's own words.
For the prosecution, there were no more important witnesses than Victoria's three children, Marcia, Wes, and Stacy, who started by recalling her stepfather's seeming indifference to her mother's disappearance.
Sometimes he'll step outside and see what's going on. Other times he'll be in the house. He was watching the NASCAR race.
Was he drinking anything?
He had a beer.
Was it ever brought to your attention that there was really kind of discussed by some of the people that saw this?
Yes.
But she was also an important witness for the defense. She was the daughter who heard Victoria's dramatic statement after a suicide attempt in 2002, some 19 years earlier.
She was upset that she was found after her suicide attempt.
Yes.
And that's when she made the statement, next time nobody's going to find me.
Yes, she was very angry.
When did you tell anybody about that statement?
I told Jim about that statement when I was walking home from work after Mom had gone missing, and we were talking on the phone. And I had said, Mom had said you would never find me next time.
At this time, the state would call Wesley Edges to the stand.
Wes was asked about the night when he last saw his mother alive.
I remember a confrontation about Jim not wanting to go to the dollar store for, I believe it was a tablecloth.
Let me stop you there. So you're saying a confrontation. Who is that between?
My mom and Jim.
On the day that your mom went missing, was there an item that she left behind that was significant?
Yeah, her purse.
The purse she always kept with her to keep her phone and cigarettes nearby.
Wes, do you miss your mom?
Yes, I do.
I have no further questions.
The heartbreak still raw even 8 years after she disappeared.
It's so vivid, it's so palpable what he's gone through in this case, and the family has just been so consistent, so persistent in trying to find their mom.
The last of Victoria's children to testify was Marcia.
Now, Marcia, you referred to your mother, Victoria. Have you seen your mother since April 25th, 26th of 2013?
No.
Has there ever been any credible information that hasn't been explored regarding the fact that your mother is still living?
Everything's been explored.
She testified she began to suspect her stepfather from almost the first day.
And he's like, I don't know what we're going to do with all of her Look at all this stuff. This place is too big for two people. And then he said, I know she didn't want an obituary. And he said, we're gonna have to call up a U-Haul or something like that to take all this stuff to Goodwill.
And how did you feel about a comment like that from him?
Well, we didn't know where my mom was, so that was confusing. And the only thing I knew is in the pit of my stomach is I thought something's not right.
And then, even as the search was still going on for her mother, she learned about the relationship with Kathy Friday.
It wasn't like he just met her, but that he'd known her for years. And that we would really like her, that she had 2 kids our age, and that had he known that she got divorced, he'd have never married my mom.
But all of the things that he is telling you at this time, they come as a surprise?
Yeah, it felt like a dagger in my heart.
And this experience with respect to it, has this been devastating for you in your life?
It has been terrible. I stopped living for a long time, and every day did something to get the word out about my mom missing for years.
When somebody like that is missing in your life, is one of the issues the fact that you're still just always looking?
Always looking.
Okay.
When I drive down the road, I'm looking in the ditch, even if it's someplace that I know that I can't possibly be.
You're always looking for Vicky.
Always looking.
Okay. Now, Marcia, through the years, until this happened with your mom, how would you describe your relationship with Jim as a stepfather to you?
I called him Dad. He walked me down the aisle. My dad was still alive, but I asked him to walk me down the aisle. I listed him as my dad in my wedding announcement. I looked up to him.
I have no further questions.
But for all of the emotionally packed testimony, the state still had not presented any hard evidence that James Prokopovitz was a murderer, or that there even had been a murder.
I was a juror sitting on that case, and I was forced to make a decision right then. I would find this defendant not guilty.
Thank you. You may be seated. You can start the video.
Detective Roman Ehrenstein took the stand to introduce the hours and hours of contentious interviews with James Prokopovitz.
Or, if you guys think I did something, arrest me and haul me in, because I didn't.
I note that he reacts with outbursts and denials that are angry quite often.
As the tapes played, Prokopovitz made a point of not looking at the courtroom screen.
Down the steps. Honey! Okay.
And then the pivotal ride-along scene in the truck, driving through a nearby Shell gas station where he said he had looked for Victoria.
Just go by and look through the window, see if anybody was there. We didn't see anybody. There was no cars here, no nothing.
The concern was that he wasn't being truthful about that account. I had collected surveillance video from that particular gas station as part of this investigation. Mr. Prokopovitz's vehicle was not at that gas station on the morning of April 26, 2013, as he had indicated here.
And then finally, to his relationship with Kathy Friday, and the fact that he and she had lied about when and how it started.
I had implored her to be truthful with me. I had indicated to her the seriousness of this investigation, that it was a death investigation, and that I believed that she may be a motive for Mr. Prokopovitz having killed his wife, and I needed her to be truthful with me. But it turns out that she continued to be dishonest with law enforcement.
Other than when you have contacted Mr. Prokopovitz, has Jim Prokopovitz come forward to law enforcement at any time to offer assistance with respect to his wife Victoria and her disappearance?
Never.
I have nothing further.
The issue surrounding the gas station was the most concrete and significant evidence of Prokopovitz's lying, and his lawyer, John DeAngelo, knew he had to try to undercut the testimony of Detective Ehrenstein.
He could have been mistaken that he drove through that Shell station. Maybe he thought he did, but maybe he really didn't. True?
No, that's not true. He was either in that parking lot, which was disproven by evidence, or he lied to me about being in that parking lot in the morning where he indicated he was there searching for his wife.
Could it be possible that he was at a different gas station but he thought it was that one?
So the clear answer is no, it's not probable. I would say that it's not reasonable or probable that he was thinking of another gas station as opposed to that specific gas station.
It's not reasonable, but it's not impossible.
Object, asked and answered 3 times, Your Honor.
I think his answer was a little bit...
Overruled.
Thank you. It's not reasonable, but it's not impossible.
So I think we're playing semantics.
Question,
I'm sorry?
It's a yes or no question. Is it not impossible?
It's not reasonable, it's not probable, therefore I believe it's impossible.
The defense called no witnesses, and it was straight to the closing argument.
How do you know who's telling the truth? And how do you know who's giving you a line of bull? It's something you see every day, and it's not difficult to see where the truth is. Because this case, ladies and gentlemen, as we said from the beginning, that the truth is in the lies. It's the lies that Jim spun. It's the lies that he told to everyone. It's probably at some point the lies he started trying to convince himself had occurred. The best evidence in this case has now become the defendant himself.
Attorney D'Angelo, you may present defense closing arguments.
Next time, nobody will find me. Those are the words of Victoria Prokopovitz. Those are the words that ring true in this case. Next time, you won't find me. She was wearing black pants, a white shirt. She put on her shoes and she went for a walk. That's the simplest answer. She went for a walk. The state says, well, no evidence is evidence. No, no evidence is no evidence. Jim doesn't have to prove he's innocent. He starts being innocent. At the end of the day, you're going to look at your notes. You remember the testimony. And you're going to see that the state took 2 weeks to prove nothing. At the end of the day, you're going to find my client not guilty.
The jury was out over 20 hours. I hadn't ever had one this long.
Breaking news tonight. We have a verdict in the trial of James Prokopovitz.
All right, would you hand the verdicts to the bailiff at this time? As to the offense of first-degree intentional homicide, as charged in count 1 of the second amended information, we, the jury, find the defendant, James M. Prokopovitz, the verdict has been marked guilty.
And then guilty of the 3 additional charges of perjury and obstruction of justice.
It was just the result of 8 years of hard investigative work that kind of in totality added up to the truth. So there was joy.
But for the family, there was still no answer to the question of what happened to their mother. Where was Victoria? The billboards had been up before and after the trial.
So the only thing I want is her body. That's it.
And detectives had even offered Prokopovitz a deal before the trial if he would tell them where she was. But he was defiant.
Roman, if I can her
her body, I'd give it to you. I don't know where it is.
Oh, that's colorful. You want to your ways about
Oh, you
that's
know.
colorful.
The working theory was that he put her body in some nearby sludge ponds where the company he worked for dumped toxic materials.
Jim, what would happen to a body if you put it in those sludge ponds where you worked?
I don't know. You'd probably never find it.
I do believe that she's in those sludge ponds. Something would go into it and it would actually disintegrate. Law enforcement made attempts to find out if they could dredge these ponds in any way and be able to find Victoria, and we're told that wasn't possible.
So, at Jim Prokopovitz's sentencing hearing, Victoria's two daughters begged their stepfather to reveal his secret.
She doesn't deserve what happened to her. Will we ever know? I'm asking for the truth. I'm asking for justice for my mom, Vicky. She didn't deserve to have this kind of ending. I want to give her peace.
It's hard for my heart to accept that Jim has withheld that information from us. We deserve the truth, and it's time for Jim to tell us the truth. I hope and pray he'll take responsibility for his actions and tell us where our mom is. Without those answers, our mom remains missing, and we will continue searching. I would even ask that if he were to tell us where she is, that if he gave us the answers we need, that you be lenient in your sentence. The answers won't bring my mom back, but they would allow us to grieve and to heal. And I would hope that with time, we could find forgiveness and peace in this tragedy. Without these answers, we don't have closure.
But Prokopovitz remained silent.
He's the only person that we believe would know, and I don't know if he'll ever say.
James Prokopovitz received the maximum sentence possible, life in prison with no possibility of parole, taking his secret with him of what happened to Victoria.